In this video, we're going to talk about the necessity of the leader's role in modeling and assisting in building a culture that multiplies from micro to macro, and that is coming up. Hey guys, my name's Mark. Please subscribe to our channel so you get this content right there in your inbox and you don't miss a video. So guys, we are down here in beautiful Tampa, Florida for about a month, and we made some new friends out of Lee and Stacy Wood, and they're a part of One Body Church down here in Tampa that has reach far beyond that. But as we've come down here, they've been sharing some things with us and really modeling some things to us, and I wanted to make a video about that because that will solidify it for me, right? And so I want to talk about the role of leaders in modeling and assisting. And I've shared this in a past video that to make disciples and to multiply leaders, it looks like this acronym MAWL, M-A-W-L, model, assist, watch, and launch. There's this process by which there is a transfer of discipleship from what is happening in my life as the leader into the disciple that I'm making as I model, as I show what it looks like, and then I begin to assist somebody begin to take steps in working that out in their life. Then I begin to watch as they put it into practice, and I take a step back and I'm giving them feedback as they want it, and then I'm launching them. So then I'm no longer in the picture and they're off doing their thing, and I check in periodically to offer coaching and advice. So down here in Tampa, this is where I'm going with all of this, they do an incredible job of really sticking to this. And this is Lee's work down here, but they really do a great job of modeling and assisting. And he uses this phrase often down here that you will not see things happen in macro. You will not see things happen at a larger scale level until it happens at the micro level. So he talks about this fractal idea that what happens at the small will multiply out. And if you've ever heard of a fractal, it's this idea of making up a big picture or a big concept made up of that same concept at a micro level. So you might have seen pictures in a museum where there's a bird and then you see a bird made of birds. This is the idea of a fractal. And so it's micro to macro. So here in Tampa, we've been learning this as we've been watching them make disciples who make disciples, but it's not simply a baton pass. And I think I'm realizing as I've been down here how much of my mindset has been built into this idea of, there's just some people who begin to engage the harvest field and then they pass it off to those pastors, those teachers, those who are really gifted as disciple makers. But the reality is we're not going to see anything multiply out until we begin to embody it and live it out in our own lifestyle. So micro to macro will only happen as we do that as we begin to model it, as we begin to live it out and bring others along with us, and then we begin to assist them in doing it. And so I think I'm just really struck by this reality that as leaders, we can't get away from embodying the kind of culture we want to see. And if we want to see a culture where everybody gets to play, everybody gets to be a part of making disciples, and it's a culture that slows down enough that the pastors, the teachers, those who are the establishers and those who are really going to make things work really well, if we can't slow down enough to begin to work some of that out in ourselves and begin to make space for those pastors and those teachers to come along, then we're going to get a lot of harvest where we get new disciples coming into the kingdom or salvation, but not a lot of discipleship in which that fruit begins to bear and to be established and grow. So we won't see kingdom fruit over time. So I'm really struck by this reality that we're learning down here, that modeling and assisting, where we show what it looks like to live out the basic practices of Christ and training somebody in the stories of the basic practices of Christ, and then assisting them in training that to somebody else. Doing that, as simple as that sounds, until we do that on a consistent basis with a few and then challenge them to give that away, we're not going to see the fruit that comes from the kingdom coming and churches multiplying. I really am completely just convinced of this more and more, that the multiplying of churches will only happen when the leaders at the center are willing to embody the practices, the things that they're calling others to, and they're willing to really hammer away at this idea of modeling that and then assisting others to begin to walk that out quite regularly. This sounds really basic, but I think this is just sinking into my heart at a greater level, that we can get caught up on the big vision sometimes. This is how I'm wired, this big vision, the macro, seeing a city reached. But that will not happen until a few people are willing to put in the hard work over a long haul in the micro, living it out. And that's what will begin to multiply out to that larger level. And then even across context into different geographical areas, it will begin to just multiply out. But it will happen as a faithful few begin to practice that in their lives. So anyway, I want to challenge you with that, because that's what's been challenged of me, that if you're beginning to catch some of this stuff, maybe you've seen it in my videos, maybe you're around people right where you are who are living this out, that you not let this just be knowledge, or that you just begin to share it with somebody else as information and move on, but you slow down enough to take them along with you in the journey. And it's messy, it's hard work, it takes time, but this is how the kingdom grows and is established and bearing lasting fruit. So I want to challenge you with that. Slow down enough that this information gets passed into a lifestyle of this disciple, and not simply information that passes in one ear or out the other and doesn't ever actually change their very life. It's got to change their lifestyle, or else it's not established or true fruit. So I hope that's helpful to you guys, and I know that's a little bit like me just preaching today and less of a training time, but really that's just striking my heart, and I had to share this with you. So I hope that's encouraging to you, and yeah, I look forward to talking more about what that looks like to model, and to assist, especially in the days ahead. So bless you guys, and keep making disciples, multiplying disciples, till there's no place left, until all the nations have heard, every person knows, and until there's lasting fruit for Jesus. Amen.